Hi, welcome back to another Derek Does. Today, we're going to take a look at this. This is my Singer 31-20. I believe it's from 1924, but you never know it to look at it. It's really in fantastic shape for its age. It's not even the enameled enameling hasn't even come off really on it yet. I bought this machine when I was in California. I used to live there, and a lady in Pasadena had it in her house kind of as a display thing. She didn't really use it. So I bought it. I think I paid $100 for it because it came with a wood table, which you always have to have a wood table if you're going to have vintage sewing machines. Get the table that the machine came with. That's kind of my thing. Also, I got the original light to put on it, the SLF2, and I'll show you the table. The thing about the 31s, and there are the two big ones, the big one is the 31-15, called the Taylor's machine. And you can find those everywhere. They made like 1 million of them. They literally did. The 31-20 is a lot like the 31-15. Basically the same machine, only the 31-20 has a slightly bigger lift, I believe, on it. And it also has a larger bobbin, which can actually come in quite handy if you're doing a lot of sewing. You're not going to run out of thread quite as fast. You're still going to run out of thread, though, because it is a bobbin setup. So let's take a look at the machine. So here's the machine in its whole. It has some really nice it doesn't have the black legs, but it does have this faded green legs, which are kind of nice. And also this metal drawer with it too, and I'll show you kind of the goodies that came with it because I kind of kept everything together. I do have a servo on this one. As you can see, I just have the standard brushless servo. I've had a few of these motors go out on me, so they're okay. I mean, I guess it's worth 120 bucks or whatever it was to buy it, but they're not going to last forever. Not like an actual clutch motor would. The machine itself, you can tell, here it is, 31-20, and it's got the 1924 date on it. It has a pretty big wheel on it, not a huge one, but you can see it still has the lettering on it, which is really nice. It's not worn, and even this part isn't worn away. Like a lot of these, if they were in a actual sewing environment, a lot of times this whole area will just be down to bare metal. I have a SLF2 put on it, and then of course the original style thread stand. Now the reason a lot of people may not know this is they make it with 2 threads to put on here. The machine only takes 1, but one thing that I do, and I don't have it set up right now, is I'll put another thread on here. I'll run it down, but I'll run it here to the bobbin winder, so that when you're sewing, it'll actually wind your bobbin and you don't have to wait and redo that and then just waste the machine while doing that. To thread them, they're really easy. These are the machines, if you're going to buy any machine, any industrial, get this one. Because with this machine, and it could be a 31-15, just the 31 series are probably the most useful everyday sewing machine you can buy. But to thread it, it just comes through. You run it through here. Now a lot of people sometimes they'll run it this way. It's like a loop, like that way. It really doesn't matter, I don't think. I think you might get a little more going sideways, but it comes through here, through this little, let me get on this side. Goes underneath this little thing, comes up through your thread lifter, down again, and then, oh, I missed it right there on that one. And then it goes through there. So let's, we'll fix that. Oh, it should go around this one. And then let's sew something. All right, I re-threaded it right through here. And then of course the threads come out to the body of the machine, not that way. I have just a pant leg of a pair of denim that I actually hemmed. This is kind of the leftover, but it can give you a nice idea of what, turn on the servo, what everything looks like. So it's a knee lifter, does it myself. On this particular machine, and I don't know if all 31s are like this, sometimes it's handy to hold on to your thread from your needle because it has so much room when it comes up, depending how things are set up. It could pull that thread out, so sometimes it's handy to hang on to that or just put your finger down on it. And of course the wheel spins towards you. I always just like to do one and then I can throw that thread underneath, and then I'll just show you that. This servo is set at 350, so it's a nice slow. And so it just went over 2 layers, and actually 3 layers, pretty easy. Show you that it has a really nice, it does a really nice stitch. And I've used this for many things. It's fine with denim, which is mostly what I use it with. But I've also changed the needle and the thread to something much finer to do some lighter fabrics. Because just changing the needle, this needle is actually I think like a size 20 or an 18. So it's kind of the heaviest one you can get for it. And of course, all my needles, for the most part, unless I can't find them, are all vintage Singer needles or vintage needles from the 50s and 40s, like an old box of the green Singer boxes that I can find. Because I just find that if you're going to use an old machine, if you can find the original needles that were made at that same time, so you know they're going to work. Whereas if you bought a modern day needle because a lot of these needles on the old machines, they don't make them for this machine anymore. They make it for another machine that this needle can actually use. And I'd much rather buy the needle that was made for the machine as opposed to the needle that it'll be okay to work with it. But it has a really nice, you can do all sorts of stitching with this. Now the one trick that a lot of people maybe not like this is because these old Singer 31s don't have reverse. But the trick is, when you get to the end, my foot always hits that pedal, sometimes I forget it's there. All you have to do is lift up your foot, pull your work just like a ½ inch ahead of you, and then go back over it again, and what you've done is you've tacked it. That's how they did it in the factories. They would just go, you lift the foot, you pull the work just a little down, put it back down, go back over it. And you don't need reverse. And actually doing that that way, once you're good at it, is probably faster than reaching your hand over here, flipping the lever up to reverse, and then going back again. I'm sure those people that did this back in the day with these machines were way faster than from that they could just, because it's just right like that. As I said in the beginning, one of the fun things about buying old machines sometimes is finding out what's in the drawer. If you're lucky enough to actually get a table with a drawer, always go through the drawer, because you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's just a bunch of old pins, and sometimes you get a whole drawer of somebody that actually cared for the machine and used it all the time. Now this particular one, now actually I had bought all these, well, most of these. I bought all the feet for this machine in all different sizes. This is actually a mix. It has some actually old Singer ones and some of the newer kit I bought, and my old Sucrets tin. You'll find a lot of stuff like that because people would buy it and then put it in there just to hold it. It has a lot of buttons. Here, let me take a look. I'll show you. So here's that Sucrets full of different feet. Anything from different sizes to different styles, to this one's actually threaded, that's like for maybe a zipper, different things along that nature. Inside, you'll find they did some sort of snaps of some sort. These were the feet that I bought in different sizes. Here we have the classic, you'd put this on your machine here and it goes in those holes. Then you have a stop that you could run your material at a certain size. These are really handy. What else do we have? We've got one of these. I have quite a few of these. I have over here kind of in all my notions that I've picked up all from machines. Here's just some hand sewing ones. There's, I don't even know what that is, some sort of, oh, razor blades inside there. This came with this machine. Oh, look at that. They picked up a complete bobbin case setup just in case something happened. What else we have? There's always little screwdrivers. Here's a thing of needles for spares, more feet, a pair of tweezers, and then nice pair of scissors. All my scissors that I have like this, I've gotten in boxes from places. And of course there's bobbins with thread already done and a little brush. Obviously the person who had this machine before me really cared for it, and they had a little brush that they could, you know, at the end of the day they could clean their machine up. So always look through these things because you can always find some cool stuff. I've even found a really nice pair of scissors just stuck in here. So sometimes even when you buy the machine, you get almost $50 just in stuff, just in the box. Another thing when you have a machine that you know you're going to be keeping and using forever, like this 3120 that I have, I like to pick up the manuals for it. So this one's actually a list of parts for 3115 and the 3120 because they're so similar. They share so many of the same parts, and these little manuals are great because they list all the part numbers. They list the plate, and then when I say the plate, that's the plate in the book of the picture, and then they list what the actual name is. Because a lot of times you might need something for a machine. You'll see that it's broken or it's worn or something like that, but you have no idea what it's called because, you know, we're not in the business where we would know all these things. But a lot of these you can come through here and you can find the part, and if you can't find it from the numbers, let's say your part's missing, you can come here and they have illustrations of every single part on this machine, inside and outside. So it's really nice to see some really cool items that your machine didn't come with, but it was an option for the machine because they didn't make just one version of it. They made like maybe 3 versions because it's a heavy material or it's a light material or something along that nature. So you can find some really cool parts on that. And I also have this one. Now this one's about all the 31 machines. You can see it's much thicker. This covers at 115 all the way up to the 3142s. And so it lists all the parts you can find for the machines and binder attachments. And then they also have all the diagrams of all the parts, even you know, all the everything. These are great references. Unfortunately, when you do go through that, you'll find a lot of stuff, and honestly, they haven't made it in 60 years, so you're probably never going to find it unless you're lucky and you find a drawer that has that part in it, or maybe an old shop that went out of business years ago. In the back, they've got some sort of something or another that has a box of this or that hasn't been used, which does happen. The old timers are kind of going away though, of the old industrial sewing shops that they know this machine. They sold this machine, not 1924 new, but the same machine was sold in the 50s. They might have sold it then. And that's kind of the sad thing, is that knowledge, there's still a few of them out there, but there's not many. And a lot of times when you call an industrial sewing place, unless you talk to the old guy, the new guys are like, oh, we don't touch that. We don't know anything about that. They're only selling the new stuff. Highly recommend this 3120 just because it has the bigger bobbin. And the machines are just great. They're super easy to work on, to oil. They just run great, and they can sew through anything. Not anything, but you know what I mean. So if you like this, please subscribe, comment, all that. If you got a 3120, and I know they have other ones too that are kind of neat too. There's a 3132 or 31. Actually, it does have reverse, I think. I forget the exact number. And then there was one they made. It's the SV52, I think, maybe. That's what's popping in my head. That was made for the military during World War II. And they actually have, and they're really cool. I don't have one, but I've seen them. They came in these green boxes, big green boxes that they would parachute out during the war. And they were treadle, and they would land, and then like that box would turn into the table plus the holder, so that in the field, soldiers then could mend tents and parachutes and clothing and all sorts of stuff. That's really kind of neat. And I've seen a few of those. Usually you can't find the complete one because it's usually just the machine or it's part of the table or something like that, but they're really rare, and those are kind of cool. I would like to have one of those someday. But that's what the Army was giving the Army, or that's what the Army was taking, was these 31s because they were that good. So get yourself a 31 if you don't have one. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be so handy, and I'll see you next time.